Remember, remember, the 5th of November. Gunpowder, treason and plot. I see no reason why gunpowder treason should ever be... oh, it's on the tip of my tongue. No, I've forgotten it. Never mind. Welcome to the world of histrionics, incredible tales from before the now. My name is Guy Fawkes, and if you don't know who I am, I planned in 1605 with an enormous amount of gunpowder and my friends to blow up the House of Lords and kill King James I. And we also planned to do it on November the 5th, which is bonfire night, isn't it, as well? Irony! No, obviously, that's a joke. The reason that the British set huge bonfires and have massive firework displays on November the 5th is because of me and because I tried to explode the king. Now, when I were a lad, and I was born in York in 1570, religious tolerance, there was none of it. We used to dream of it, dream of religious tolerance, we did. It was luxury. In the Christian faith, there were two sides, Catholics and Protestants. They didn't like each other at all. And the monarchs and the kings and the queens could be Catholics or Protestants. And depending on who was in charge, you'd never know who was going to be punished. If a Catholic was on the throne, then the Protestants would get it in the neck, literally. And the other way around was true. Edward Tudor was a Protestant, so the Catholics suffered. But when he died, his sister Mary killed loads and loads of Protestants because she was a Catholic. She killed so many that people called her Bloody Mary. Yeah, for that reason. And because she had a huge stick of celery sticking out of her face. So, when King James VI of Scotland became King James I of England, he said to everybody, "Right, everyone, listen to me. You lot have been fighting for far too long. My name from now on is that of King James, the religious tolerant person. Oh yes, we're all going to be friends now. I'm a Protestant man, but I will be tolerant, and not a little, but a lot. But he was a massive fibber. When he came to the throne in 1603, he still punished Catholics, and he passed even more laws punishing them. Made people like me very cross indeed, although I was in Spain at the time. See, I hadn't been really raised as very religious, but when my father died when I was only 8 years old, my mother remarried a Catholic. And when I went to school, the headmaster there was a Catholic, and one of the governors had spent 20 years in prison just for being a Catholic. I rather admired them. So in 1591, I'd sold my father's land and gone to Spain to fight for Spain in the 80 Years' War. No, I'm not that old. No, I didn't fight in the whole war for 80 years. I wasn't like, it's the final stages of the war. Come on, let's fight. I'll fight you. I will. Just give me a moment to have some of these boiled sweets and a bit of a sit down, and maybe I could watch some of those repeats of Murder, She Wrote and Bonanza, yes. But then I was coming for, I'll have a little bit of a nap next and maybe a good old think about the old days. But then, once I've done that, I will come and get you. I will fight you. Don't go too far, will you? Don't go too far. No, because I won't be able to see you or indeed walk there. No, the war had been going on for 80 years and the Spanish were exhausted and they were running out of money. And peace seemed to be on the horizon. I, as a young man, was not very pleased. I'd done rather well for myself in the war. I'd been made a lieutenant. I was going to be a captain. And, unsurprisingly, I was a brilliant explosives expert. In 1604, I met Tom Winter. Tom Winter, who I met in the spring, had come from England to try and get money from the Spanish to finance a rebellion in England against James I. But the Spanish didn't have any money because they'd been fighting a war for 80 years. But he met me, and he needed an explosives man because a friend of his by the name of Robert Catesby had a plan to blow up the King of England. I went back to England with Winter. I went to the Duck and Drake public house on the 20th of May, 1604, and met the other conspirators. There was Robert Catesby, who was in charge. There were the Wright brothers. No, not them. They invented planes. They're the Americans. I mean, Kit and Jack Wright. And then I also met Thomas Percy. Now, he was very important because Thomas Percy was from the nobility. His brother was the Earl of Northumberland. Thomas Percy was the constable of Alnwick Castle. He had loads of cash to finance our operation, and when I met him, he'd just been promoted. Hooray, that's right. I had great news for all the people in the Duck and Drake pub, and that is, I'd been made into one of the King's bodyguard. Can you believe that? We've got a plan to kill the King, and Percy, in our gang, has only been made into a member of the bodyguard. He's got loads of access to places we couldn't go before. He can get really close. Because our plan is to blow up the House of Lords. Our plan is to blow it up and kill the king and all the members of parliament and the king's son. Then we'll create a massive distraction in the Midlands by pretending to have a huge Catholic rebellion. And when we do and the army comes out, we're going to sneak to Coombe Abbey and kidnap King James's daughter, Princess Elizabeth, and make her into queen, and we can make her do anything we want because she's a child, and we'll force her to make new rules accepting Catholics in England. Well, that was the plan anyway. Didn't quite go as we had wanted. During the summer of 1604, we smuggled gunpowder into a house that we rented very close to the House of Lords. The idea was to get loads and loads of gunpowder into the house and then dig a tunnel all the way through the earth and into the House of Lords. Place the gunpowder, set it all off, and kill the king. Yeah. We started digging and we started transporting the gunpowder. Can you imagine what it was like transporting all that gunpowder? We needed 36 barrels. We transported 20 barrels on the back of carts going through the streets of London in the summer of 1604 in tourist season. London's busy enough as it is anyway. All of those people blocking the ways. An accident can happen at any time. You could crash into a carriage or mount the pavement and tip over. A barrel of gunpowder falls, the top comes off, and you're suddenly discovered. We transported 16 barrels of gunpowder on the Thames because we were so scared. But that wasn't much better. The ships make huge waves, don't they? They might rock and fall in. All it would take is a soldier or a sailor or a night watchman to inspect one of the barrels, and we'd be caught. For several weeks, we transported those barrels into that house, and we were also transporting out all of the rubble and the boulders that we were hacking into the walls to dig underneath the House of Lords with. It was terrifying. And then on the 7th of July, we were nearly ready, and the king said, "Right, I'm quite worried about the plague, actually. There's plague coming. What we're going to do is have a bit of a rest. All right, boys, have the summer off. I'm going to prorogue Parliament. All right, see you later, lads. Ta-da!" Now, if you don't know, proroguing means cancelling. I know it's a very old 17th century word. I don't imagine anyone will be daft enough to prorogue Parliament in the future. And it means cancel it. And they did. They cancelled it to February 1605, the next year. And then again shortly after to the 5th of November 1605. We knew we had that time to get everything ready. And while we were sorting some more of the gunpowder out and I was replacing some because it had passed its sell-by date, all of a sudden there was an enormous amount of noise right above our heads. Thomas Percy said, "Oh, away, we've been discovered. It's the game's up. Run away, run away, run away." Robert Catesby said, "Be quiet, you idiot. Let me go upstairs and find out exactly what's going on." He discovered that the noise was not being made by somebody who discovered us, but by a landlady who lived next door and was emptying her cellar. And the cellar was right underneath the House of Lords, and because Thomas Percy was a member of the King's bodyguard, she let him rent the cellar. Now, we didn't have to need the tunnel at all. We didn't. We didn't need to get rid of the rubble, which was terrifying enough. We didn't need to try and tip the boulders and the stones in the Thames or walk through London with huge piles of secreted dirt in our pants and slowly empty it as we walked along. No, now all we had to do was hide the barrels. I stacked loads of firewood and empty barrels around the 36 barrels and the gunpowder we would need to make the explosion. But one day while I was doing that, we were searched by the king's men. They come down to have a bit of a look. They thought we were acting suspiciously because we were using the room. They asked me what was going on. I said, "Well, we're just stacking some firewood in here." They asked me my name. Now, I didn't want to tell them Guy Fawkes, especially as I'd been a soldier in the Spanish army. They might know my name. Especially I'd gone by the name of Guido Fawkes when I was in Spain, but I didn't want to tell them that either. So I made up a name on the spot. John Johnson? I know. Rubbish. Utterly rubbish. A name that is both completely memorable and totally unbelievable. The worst combination. John Johnson. I might as well become Steve Stevens or Zowie Bowie. Ridiculous. But they believed it. And they let me go. They allowed us to carry on stacking more barrels of gunpowder and set the cellars and the undercroft exactly how we wanted it. And then, on 5th of November, 1605, I prepared my match, a long piece of string wound in with gunpowder and saltpetre which burns really slowly like the thread of a cartoon bomb. I was getting ready to light it and it would burn slowly, surely, steadily toward the gunpowder and then explode while I would make my escape. And just as I was getting ready to light the match, I heard a cry, "You there, stop!" And it was more Kingsmen. More of them had turned up to inspect the area because a member of Parliament by the name of Lord Monteagle had been warned by letter. Somebody had written him a letter because they knew he was a secret Catholic and warned him to stay away from the Houses of Parliament on the 5th of November 1605 unless he wanted just to be a pair of smoking boots or, at the very least, lose all of his favourite hats at the same time. Unbelievable! Of course they knew something was going on. They arrested me and took me away to prison at the Tower of London. The other co-conspirators became aware something had gone wrong when bells of celebration began to ring out across London. Even the bells of St Paul's Cathedral were chiming and sounding, and the Londoners, so pleased that the plot had been foiled and they hadn't been blown up, decided to set bonfires everywhere. So happy were they hadn't been exploded or set fire to things. They went, "Oh, that's great, let's explode stuff and set fire to things." I don't know. I don't understand London. Needless to say, the rest of the co-conspirators tried to get away. They broke into Warwick Castle stables and stole a load of horses and rode to a house in Staffordshire. They were expecting trouble, so they got ready to load their guns, but their gunpowder was wet because it had been raining. So they sat down in front of an open fire and spread the gunpowder on the floor. Let me just say that again. They needed the gunpowder, but it was wet, so they spread it out on the floor in front of an open fire. Of course it exploded. It injured several of them and blinded another. Thomas Percy said, "Oh no, it's a sign from God. Oh, the gunpowder here exploded, but the gunpowder out in London, it didn't explode. It's a sign from the Lord that he doesn't approve of our plan to kill loads and loads of people." Robert Catesby said, "Well, in that case, we shall fight to the death." And many of them did. 200 of the sheriff's men the next day on the 8th of November, 1605, surrounded the house. There was a massive shootout. Kit and Jack Wright were both killed, and would you believe it, Catesby and Percy were both killed by the same bullet that travelled through the both of them, one after the other. The only person to survive was Tom Winter, who just got shot and injured slightly in the arm. And he was brought back to the Tower of London as well. All of that chaos, all of that death, all of that destruction, and for what? Just because Catholics and Protestants can't get along, just because they can't share their religion? You might be experiencing the same level of tension right now. You might be out there in your homes. Maybe you've been inside for a long time. Maybe tensions are high. Maybe you're arguing about whether to watch the television or listen to music. Maybe you're arguing about whether to go outside in the garden or stay inside and draw a picture. It doesn't matter. Take turns. Do both. Share, respect each other and treat each other as you would want to be treated. And if you do that, then just maybe there'll be no need for any fireworks. Thank you very much, ladies and gentlemen, for listening and for watching our History Onyx History at Home YouTube video today. If you have enjoyed yourselves, please do like this and share it with your friends. Also, subscribe to the History Onyx History at Home YouTube channel and watch out for further videos presented here. Also, feel free to research into the life of Guy Fawkes and Bonfire Night. Although, if you're not old enough to go on the internet by yourself, make sure you've got a grown-up with you. Otherwise, thank you very much for listening. Thanks for tuning in. Be careful, share, and stay safe.